Alright guys, how you doing? My name is Jake. I'm here today to talk to you about minimum wage and the recent debate about whether or not we should increase minimum wage to $9 an hour versus current rate of $7.25. Minimum wage is what we refer to as a living wage. Therefore, it was designed to make employers pay a base rate. Therefore, they would not cheat their employees out of certain living standards such as food, water, and shelter. It was the original reason why it was implemented. As you can currently see, the rate nationally is $7.25 per hour. Each state is allowed to set its own wage. Per se, in the state of Ohio, it's $7.85 an hour, versus in the state of Washington, it's a national high of $9.19 an hour. Since 2002, we've seen minimum wage increase about $2 during the Bush era in increments, versus now Obama would like to raise minimum wage $1.75 nationally to make it $9 an hour. As you can see by my graph, I've divided apart the states that have wages above minimum wage versus states that have below minimum wage of $7.25 and states that are at the current national level. So how does unemployment and minimum wage affect one another? Well, the current unemployment rate is 7.7% nationally. Each state, like the national wage rate, has its own unemployment rates, ranging anywhere from 3.3% to 9.6%. The current U6 unemployment rate is at 14%, which takes into account for discouraged workers, people who are simply just giving up looking for a job. Secondly, a common misconception about minimum wage is that most people believe that we were to increase the wage rate, we would increase the amount of money in the pocket of consumers, therefore reducing poverty ultimately. That's a common misconception, and the Heritage Foundation has a response to this. And it says simply that those who would benefit from an increased wage rate are those individuals that are already making a higher wage rate currently. In addition to that, few wage earners actually come from poor households. And lastly, the majority of Americans that work for a minimum wage, those living below the poverty line, don't even work for any wage rate whatsoever. So raising the minimum wage actually hurts the economy, and it actually perpetuates poverty. So we see this inverse relationship between hours worked to the minimum wage rate. As demand for employment goes up, the wage rate should decrease. But as the wage rate increases, the demand for labor actually decreases. Joe Mercelli is a columnist for Balanced Politics. He wrote an article about who actually benefits from minimum wage. His article stated that we have about 16 to 24, that is the age range for individuals who are working at minimum wage jobs. For instance, those individuals who work at minimum wage jobs, the ones that live below the poverty line, it's 1 in 5. And of that 1 in 5, only 11% actually work full-time. 25% work part-time, while over 63% don't even work for any wage whatsoever. So increasing the minimum wage would not benefit them. It would actually just create more people below the poverty line. Thus, he also states that individuals making the wage rate, their household income, like I said earlier about the Heritage Foundation, is nearly $50,000 or more. So it's not politically correct to state that increasing the minimum wage would help poverty. Increasing minimum wage actually increases global competition for us. Businesses have to take into account for that opportunity cost of paying an extra employee more by increasing the wage rate. Thus, we see competition increase globally. Companies want to outsource jobs to places where they can get a lower wage rate. We see an increase for mechanized jobs. We also see an increase of illegal immigrants as well as immigrants working for a lower rate under the table because it's just as efficient, just certain businesses can't afford to pay what the rate is. For example, in the state of Ohio, like I stated earlier, it's $7.85 an hour minimum wage. If we had 20 employees working full-time, 40 hours a week at that rate, the monthly wage budget would be $25,120. If we increase that to $9 an hour, we see that budget go up to $28,800 for those 20 employees. So now we're almost $4,000 over our original budget. So we're going to have to make cuts somewhere. We're going to make cuts. We're going to have to fire or lay off 3 employees. Now imagine if that were a national level. Unemployment rates would rise substantially. So benefits of the wage reduction, or even keeping the wage where it currently is, are non-profit organizations and small businesses. When we increase wages, we really hurt non-profit organizations because they really rely on individuals in the community to support them. And when we increase wages, we're increasing how much we're relying on individuals to help support our business, to pay for our employees. The opportunity cost for them is not worth it. But when we reduce the minimum wage, we're creating jobs in these non-for-profit organizations. And the non-for-profit organizations are able to give financial incentives to individuals that want to volunteer to help. We're creating jobs. We're helping out the economy. Versus in small businesses, the success rate for small businesses over a 5-year period is horrible. And it's almost 10% success rate, 90% failure rate. And a large part of this is because of the way that minimum wage is set. These small businesses can't afford to have a lot of employees. They need a tiny workforce that's going to give them a lot of efficiency. But when we increase minimum wage, once again, we're increasing that opportunity cost of employment. Thus, small businesses make up for that by hiking up the prices of their products or services. Therefore, as consumers, we see this and we don't want to go to these small businesses. We want to go somewhere, places such as Walmart, where we can get things cheaper. So a lower wage is going to create more jobs, and it's going to reduce unemployment versus hiking up the wage, which is going to hurt small businesses and non-for-profit organizations. So in conclusion, what we can do is we can express our ideas to our state representative. For most of us, that would be Tim Ryan. But additionally, increasing the minimum wage also increases unemployment. It hinders job creation, and it hurts businesses here at home. But if we were to decrease the minimum wage, we would increase individual marketability. We would also bring jobs back home. We would also decrease the unemployment rate. Because the goal of business, we want to promote good business. We want to strengthen our economy. We want to put money into the hands of the consumer. Therefore, they can put it back into the economy, thus strengthening us. It increases exports and it increases national GDP.